What's up, guys? As you might have noticed, there's 2 new head items on the tester with a huge balance patch, which I want to both talk about. These head items, give my thoughts, what Pokemon I could be good on, and then we jump onto the balance patch, which I want to also talk about, because there's a lot of things we need to talk about. There's a lot of changes, a lot of buffs and nerfs, and also things that look quite questionable, not going to lie. First up, we have Rescue Hood right here. Increases the recovery effect by 10% and shield effect by 10% when they're granted to an ally Pokemon. So complete support head item. It doesn't work on yourself, it only increases stuff for your ally Pokemon. So something like Cotton Guard is probably pretty good with this. Comfy, I feel like this is a item made for Comfy, right? But then again, 10% really doesn't sound like a lot. So, but Comfy does give a shield, Comfy also healed, so it could be a very good item on this Pokemon. The one thing I really don't like is that it gives defense and special defense stats. I think this would have been a great cooldown reduction item, right, for supports. Even though I don't want supports to be more OP, they're already OP enough, right, healers especially. But defense and special defense on this kind of item is kind of weird. Again, cooldown reduction would have been quite nice. I'm not sure if this is going to see any play. I don't know if it's better than other items. Of course, we have to let, math people figure it out to see if this item is actually valuable on someone like Comfy. Maybe on Softbed Egg Blissey. On Safeguard Blissey, for sure, we'll not see any play. But yeah, Comfy, Eldegoss, and I think that's almost already it. I mean, maybe Moonlight Clefable could do a lot of more healing with this as well. I mean, 10% is not, does seem like a decent amount, right? But in the end, especially if you hit multiple targets, if your Moonlight hits multiple targets, right, at the same time, the question is, does that out here, having just a special attack item, or can you afford going this over Buddy Barrier, Focus Band, XP share, right? Those are items that obviously are going to rival it. Then we have Slick Spoon, which is a very interesting item, something for special attackers. Makes damage dealt by your Pokemon special attacks, ignore 20% of opposing Pokemon special defense. So it's going to be very good against tankier Pokemon. It's going to be an item that I think can replace this one right here. Special specs is always kind of weird, right? It's kind of hard to stack. You kind of use it on Gengar and Mew because it just does a lot of damage. But never feels very good to play. Like, I never really enjoy having this item on. But Slick Spoon could be an insane replacement because we have insane late game damage as well. Like, those Pokemon already do good early game damage. But sometimes I feel someone like Gengar can fall off into late game, especially against someone like Slowbro or any tanks in general, right? So this could allow us to actually deal damage against those a bit better. 20% of opposing Pokemon special defense. We'll see how much more damage that actually is. It also has decent stats, like we give HP. HP is always nice to have. 210 HP and then 30 special attack, which is, pretty similar to something like Shellbell, which is 24. This has 24 as well. And then Vice Glasses have 39. So it's somewhere in the middle of those other special attack items. But we really need more special attack items, right? Because attackers have so many good items, like Razor Claw as well, when they came into the game. Was so strong, and special attackers since then just have not really received anything that was too great. I mean, Choice Specs is alright. I think it's a decent item, but it's nothing too crazy either. But Slick Spoon does look pretty good for almost any special attacker that deals a lot of damage. Alright, let's jump into the patch notes already, because there's a lot we have to talk about, as I mentioned earlier. First up, we have Delphox, which is getting a Mystical Fire nerf by 10%. And a Fire Blast second explosion buff by 35%. So, you throw the Fire Blast, it explodes, and that second wave doesn't increase damage. And the Night Move doesn't get any changes. So this kind of confuses me, because I think Mystical Fire is not the issue. I mean, Mystical Fire dealing damage is not the issue. it's the Unite Move cooldown, and the cooldown reduction you get from Mystical Fire Plus, right? That's what makes Delphox so ridiculous. So these nerfs look kind of questionable. And they're even buffing Fire Blast at the same time again. So that could actually be quite good as well. I don't even think Fire Blast is too bad. It's just very outclassed by Mystical Fire giving cooldown reduction and Fire Blast not giving any cooldown reduction, right? So this is kind of questionable. Yeah, kind of questionable, I have to say. Not sure about this. Next up we have Tyranitar. Dark Pulse, 10% damage decreased. I don't know, this also seems so random. Like, Dark Pulse is not the issue Tyranitar has, right? I don't think Dark Pulse damage is someone like, oh my god, Dark Pulse did so much damage there, I just died. No, it's like Tyranitar you can't kill it late game. You just can't do anything as soon as it gets 13, 14, 15 and becomes unkillable. But they're buffing Stone Edge by 10%, and they're also giving Ancient Power a 1-second cooldown nerf, which I think is very reasonable. But this still seems kind of weird. I did like Dark Pulse 10% damage decrease? Really? And Stone Edge 10% damage increase? Sure, I mean that's a poor damage ability. I think the biggest problem Stone Edge has, you just have to stand still for too long, to cast it. And the auto attacks also just do a lot of damage, so you're kind of still missing out on your auto attack damage if you use Stone Edge. And yeah, Dark Pulse, I mean, weird nerf, not gonna lie. Urshifu Dark Mode, we have no changes yet, apparently. Urshifu for Water is already getting nerfed. So we have less healing, boosted auto attacks after Surging Strike, so just a small nerf for now. Because, I mean, it's very strong right now, so makes sense they're nerfing it a tiny bit. And I think we might still see some Urshifu nerfs that might still have to be discovered. Then we have a very interesting Gardevoir nerf. I mean, I'm surprised they're nerfing Gardevoir. Psychic. I mean, Gardevoir has become very popular and has actually a decent win rate, so honestly, I'm not too surprised, but still. Psychic is getting nerfed by 1.5 seconds. 1.5 seconds, and Psyshock's also getting nerfed by 1 entire second. So that's kind of insane. I mean, the Psychic Psyshock build was very strong on the last patch, or on the current patch. We're still in the current patch, right? So I do think it could maybe receive a small nerf, but honestly, I never felt like Gardevoir does deserve a nerf that badly. Let's talk about one of my favorite changes in this patch is Espeon. Espeon is getting a boosted auto attack increase, boosted damage by 40%, and also, this one is the best thing right here. Basics and Swift and Psyshock range increase, so we have more auto attack range, more Swift range, but the Psyshock range honestly is amazing. Maybe I show it off at the end of this video. I'm just going to load into a practice mode, and I'm going to show you the Psyshock range, because I played Espeon on the test server, and it felt absolutely amazing. So, yeah, I swear, it's very, very fun. We have Comfy. Sweet Kiss is getting a buff, which is still probably pretty bad. Grass Knot is also, I mean, 2-second buff could make it better. But I feel like the Magic Leaf is just better because it just always hits and mini stuns much faster. And Grass Knot just feels very slow as an ability in general. And then we also have Unite healing buff by 50% increase. That sounds like a lot. That sounds like a lot. Okay. 50% increased healing on the Unite move. So I think this is not going to matter too much, I think. I think Magic Leaf and the healing will still be the better build, for sure. But Unite move healing does sound pretty good. Then we have a Wigglytuff buff, Unite move CD from 100 to 89 seconds. So that sounds also very insane. 11 second less cooldown Wigglytuff Unite. Allows it to just use it much more, many more team fights. That also sounds quite good. Talonflame changes related to movement speed either on Gale Wings or Fly. So I guess they haven't fully figured out yet what these changes are on Talonflame. Dragonite is getting a Unite move cooldown buff. And a Unite move on cooldown or Dragonite is always interesting because, you know, you can reduce it by, you know, choosing how far you go. So this could potentially be just a lot of more Dragonite Unite moves. And then we also have an Outrage buff. The boosted damage increased by 150 attack instead of the normal 135 attack. So Outrage is doing more damage. I mean, I'm a big Outrage fan. I love playing this move, so that's for sure something I'm going to instantly try as soon as this hits the live server. Very interesting. Trevenant getting a Woodhammer buff, which is also quite interesting because, I mean, Woodhammer is very bad, I think. I agree. Woodhammer just doesn't feel great. And it does deserve a nerf. Buff, I mean. It doesn't deserve a nerf. Deserves a buff. And Woodhammer also gets a damage increase by 25%, which I think is fair. It never felt like it did a lot. So this could be something we can consider in the future. They're still not touching, I don't even know what it's called right now. The leech thing. They're still not touching this, but they're buffing Woodhammer. Then we're getting a nice Zoroark buff. Just more attack damage across the entire game. Early game a bit less, but as soon as you get to level 5, you start getting more and more attack damage until late game, which is alright. Nothing too crazy. It's like 1 attack rate stack in late game or 2. If you reach 13 or 14, it's alright. Nothing too crazy, but you know, more damage on a speedster is always nice. And then we have a Cut buff. Cut is getting a 10% damage increase. This could be interesting because Cut is very bad right now compared to Shadow Claw. I still think you will probably still use Shadow Claw unless Cut really deals a lot more damage right now because Shadow Claw, the stun is just so important to get your next abilities out. That's why Shadow Claw is just superior for the stun, very straightforward. And then we also have a Unite move buff by 12 seconds. So they're buffing a lot of Unite moves this patch by cooldown. Interesting. And then next up we have Eldegoss. Eldegoss actually getting a nerf on Cotton Guard, which might sound a surprise to some of you, but the Cotton Guard builds have insane win rates, so I'm not surprised to see it being nerfed. It is very, very strong right now. Cotton Guard, I think both builds have like 53% win rate. Doesn't matter if you go Leaf Tornado or Point Puff together with Cotton Guard, as long as you go Cotton Guard. Eldegoss is an insane win rate, so I think it's fair. And then we also have the Doll, or the Shedinja Doll, being buffed on the test server. I noticed this already. I played against this and suddenly it felt much longer. So we have now 2 seconds of invincibility instead of 1 second, and a 45-second CD instead of a 60-second CD. So yeah, that sounds very insane. Like, I'm gonna use this item as soon as it comes out. I'm still waiting for it. I don't know why it still hasn't been added yet, but I guess they still wanted to buff it. And now for the last thing, I want to show you also the Psyshock range, because you can see, look at this range. It is amazing, right? Like, this is a huge buff to Espeon. You can also see the auto attack range. This is very nice. So, I mean, just in time for the Espeon Battle Pass skin, right? But yeah, this is pretty amazing. It's a lot of more range, and I noticed that I played it yesterday once, and I really noticed those changes, and they've hit very, very nice on Espeon. So yeah, that's it for the patch. Let me know what you think about it. I'm still not sure how I feel about it. I think I would rate it like 6 out of 10, this patch right here. But it's not too bad. You have some nerfs, you have some buffs, you have some buffs to also, you know, things that are kind of underplayed, like Woodhammer, Cut, you know, those kind of things. I'm still waiting for the Shedinja doll to come out. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe.